All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesdays. We're gonna have a little bit of a late night tonight and talk to you guys about what the race season is gonna be when the snow stops, what I'm taking to the races, and what I'm gonna do when I'm traveling. Now, I'm gonna show you guys the race rigs and what race rigs I've tried, what race rigs I've actually put under the test of putting them on tracks and doing stuff, and actually showing you what works and what doesn't work. Now, I'm gonna start talking about your actual race lines on a track with your quads. Set quads being a set quad that is heavy, or a set quad that is a light quad. What is an advantage and what is a disadvantage, and what you can do to also help overcome different styles of the racetrack where, if your quad is too light and too fast on the racetrack and is getting blown around, what you can do to overcome that, and other tips and tricks while you're doing stuff for a racetrack when you're getting prepared to go. Now, first thing I will let you guys know is when you're practicing, just like me, season's down, you should be either flying your whoop or you should be on like one of these virtual games, which I'll switch the camera and show you guys what I mean by virtual games. Any of the games that you guys see that are out right now, get your training on. I get my training on Velocidrone just because it's easy and it has some of the tracks that are going to be out this season racing. So it's easy to get some of those tracks and practice some of those tracks, like some multi GP and some of the other. Now, if you want to go straight hardcore legit, I would also get all three of them. I think they're out there: the DCL, drone, DRL, and Velocidrone. I think there's one more I'm missing. I'm not sure, but get all four of them if possible. It will help you train during the wintertime or the downtimes to keep your fingers loose, in gear, ready to race. Now, the program that I'm showing you right now is on my gaming system, and I'll show you guys that real quick. I'm just gonna have to switch the cameras around here. Let me see here. We go to Cam and Mike. Okay, so I'll point the camera up here, and my gaming system is that, where I have Velocidrome playing on that system, and I can do most of my work and recording. This is more my chopping station for videos and editing, and I can watch TV or play any Xbox or PlayStation I want. That's just if I have downtime when I'm not trying to do my PlayStation or not do my drone stuff. But let me switch cams here, guys. All right. To do that. So let's get into it. So always keep your fingers loose. Keep them in there. Always train your fingers. Get that downtime for your stick time. Stick time, stick time, stick time. Now, let's get into racing. Let's get into talking about race lines. Let's get into talking about setups. So, big setups. Okay, so this last season, my setups were ridiculous high KV. So 2700 KV on 6S, 2850 KV, 2600 KV on 6S, pushing it on a track. Found out I could beat anybody in straights and really take people out, but my quad was too draggish. So around turns, I'm washing out turns because the battery is either too big for it and pulling the whole quad left when I'm pulling left, or pulling the whole quad right when I'm pulling right. So I found out that okay, this is kind of a problem. I still, and it's very the quad I was using when I was using the track, as I thought, durability. I'm gonna be smacking so many metal gates or any kind of gates. I want something that I can pick back up and keep going. Right now, light for the top tier 10, like the 10% of pilots right now that are racing the super light frames that you wreck one time and the thing explodes. They're racing those quads for a reason. They're racing because they're in the top 10 to get that fucking number one. They want to get that one goal. That's why they're spending their time, and that's where the money costs skyrockets. Now, the reason why I tell you that is just seeing it as a perspective of me actually racing and being in it, like seeing the durability of the quads I brought down worked, but I still were blowing through motors. Still, like some of the motors I had were experimental, so I can't find that motor once it explodes. I'm not, and then I'm trying to baby that quad, because either the motor was too high for KV or I was just the batteries too heavy. So this season, so instead of trying to push these 2306 2700 kV on 6S, I decided, because I also took down light rigs with high kV, still running on 6S, and they weren't getting messed with the wind at all during the race or anything like that, but they still were getting affected with how light they were. So I would have to, on 6S flying such a high kV, I would have to drop throttle so much so I could drop into a gate or get that good dive in, because any amount of power I gave to the 2700 kV on 6S would just skyrocket the whole quad. And with the quad being such a high kV, and at running it on 6S, I literally had to arc my angle of attack, my camera angle, to like 50 to stay with pace with people. But still looking at too high of a KV, I was still running out of gas. Making my 3 laps, almost making my 3 laps, but not getting it in. And having to baby the quad after my first lap was getting kind of rough. So I switched back to 4S because the system that I set up was still able to take 4S. So 4S drops the KV down to its natural KV, 2700. But in doing so, I felt that the quad was sluggish, didn't have the pep it needed, and it was still barely keeping up with the track, even though I was using a lighter quad or my more durable, heavier quad, the drag quads, I would call them. But now when we switch back to this season, I'm switching to a whole different setup, but still using the same frame. So I know the characteristics on the how the frame flies. I know how the frame handles to a point. I'm just putting a different setup, so I'm not going to learn quite yet, but I've already have now because I've flown them quite a bit. Is the linear abilities on the motors, and where their pep is and where their torque is sitting at and all that stuff that I'm now learning on this setup. Now, with the setup I'm going to show you guys right now, I'm going to switch the cameras to show you my first setup of last year's stuff, of what I was using, to this year's stuff, and I'm going to show you guys the drag quads. But the other quads that I had these motors on, you guys, there's actually videos of on it on the channel down below here that we all share on My Flight's Better Than Yours, of the build of replacing these motors to the setup that I have now. So let me switch up the cameras and show you guys the setup that I was running last year, and then I'll bump it back up and talk about the new setup. So I'll show you the first two setups I was running this last year. So this last year setup I had was, let me see here. This was last year's setup. Let me get this camera kind of set up. All right. So it was a Space One frame, very durable, pretty pretty thick, right? Pretty thick millimeter uniframe. So if you break it, you basically replace the whole plate, the whole thing on it to fly it. But I will have to tell you guys, I've wrecked this thing into metal gates, into many different objects, and it's came away pretty clean. This is my 5S setup. This 5S setup is running a 2800 kV, 2850 kV, 2506 motor setup. This is done by I think it's GL powered, or they're called Gorilla motors. These are pretty old motors, but probably one of the best motors I've ever flown or tested flying with these. Just an amazing motor for me. But the power and amperage are ridiculous draw on this quad. Now this is the 5S version. I run 4S on all the time and 5S. Okay. 6S setup. Now both these setup were on race flight. So this one was set up on a race flight, just built with the capabilities of running 6S on it, but the ESCs are only capable of 5S. Okay. Second setup was the Space One, the very first one they had. So they had this with the arms that are actually beveled and everything. So it's pretty nice or whatever, beveled or whatever it's called, where it's not squared, it's actually rounded off. And what I'm running on this setup is 45 amp ESCs, and this thing ran 6S, and this is running 2600 kV motors. Exact same motor, but it was these motors were made by Horse. Uh, but the same company that designed Horse designed this motor, but the company that built the other motor I showed you built this motor. But there's just a little bit technical differences. Like the kV on this motor is a 2600 kV versus those experimental ones are 2850 at the time. Now these on 6S was a ridiculous machine. This thing flew great. I was flying on this an 1850 battery to a 1250 battery 6S. My 1250 batteries at the time were the real expensive Pulse, the green batteries, but I've got a red, excuse me, a red cover on it to protect it. I highly suggest you guys do that too. Put an extra cover and rewrap your batteries because it does protect it during races, especially when this is a underslung battery carrier. Okay, so running this was great. Had no power issues. I could take people on a course. The worst thing was is how heavy this quad is. Now, this was my last year setup. This is one of the models that I was flying. Loved it, and let me tell you guys, this setup, okay, out of 10 quads that I brought down racing for a season and a half, I went through all of them but three, and this is one of the survivors of one of the races. And this has been through probably 8, 9 of my races. I've taken it to tournaments and still flown this quad exactly. So this has survived. That's my contest of durability. Why I'm amazed with it. Now to this year's setup. This year's setup, if you guys remember, we did a live build on this quad, and we turned the ESC wires, put them inside, and tucked them in there to make it look real nice, right? So what we're doing is these quads are quite literally exactly the same with exact motors and everything on them. If this quad goes down, I could bring this one in. I will tell you guys in racing, it is a must to have duplicates of quads that you're familiar on flying with. Let's talk about wind. Now, like we were talking about tips and tricks that you want to put in the bag. Let's switch cameras up here and talk about tips and tricks. Okay, when you're racing, it don't matter that if it's raining, they're probably going to close it down and not have anybody in the air. But if it's a little windy out, they're still going to have the race. It's still going to happen. And if you're flying a quad like this that is extremely light, okay, any quad that is extremely light, it is a must to put a GoPro on it. Why? It'll help you get more settled into a turn when you're flying and actually get locked in. I've actually seen some people in races when they're doing it, they throw a GoPro on just to have the weight and throw bigger batteries on. Not for the longevity of a battery, but more of the weight of the battery. So it's helping them stay attitude in the air, in the turns, and be more aggressive. So that's another big advantage on like little tips and tricks you can do to put stuff when you're flying in a race. If it's too windy, do throw a GoPro on. If you're being really destroyable on the track and you're going through quads, yeah, I wouldn't do it because you might destroy your GoPro. But if it's your last chance and you're throwing everything on it, throw a GoPro on. It might help you around the track. It might help be more aggressive. Now, here's the thing about the pluses and minuses of flying anything: more weight, less time on the track. Meaning, more weight of a quad, of this being on your quad, means more sucking the juice of the battery, which means less time for you to get around the track. So if you are quick and you can do it and you get your times on the track, this might not even be an obstacle. If you're just going to blow through your battery like I do most of the times on a track, if I'm racing for money, if I'm racing for something like prestige or a title or something like that, I don't care about any of my gear. It's 100, go through everything, and I'll see you at the finish line. That is literally my attitude, and I will tell you guys, this sport on 100 levels. I've been through a lot of different sports like football, doing what was it? We did football, did some karate, did a bunch of different real active achievement kind of sports. And I tell you what, this sport has blown my mind to where a lot of people, when you're on a racetrack, they don't want to see you at your worst. What they want to see you at is at your best. And it's surprising to have top name people come up to you and be like, "Hey, bro, what's up? Are you okay? What do you need? Do you need a VTX? Do you need another camera? Dude, I got you on another camera. I want to see you back on that track. Let's get it." That experience was wonderful, and that's why I tell everybody you need to go racing. Yes, it is all that. Oh my God, I'm racing. Oh Jesus, I'm racing against all these people. Oh, there's a bunch of pros here. Or oh, it's getting crazy. Yes, get that experience in. It is wonderful because when you're shaking their hand and you actually get to know them as a human being, dude, it's incredible to know where they come from, their background, and what they do, bro. Like pushing this sport, pushing just drone as the hobby is ridiculous. And I will tell you guys with racing too. Another thing, look into your tracks. My first time going to a track, I was being a lame and did not look at any of the regulations of what I'm going to need. So I go first time and I kind of been like, all right, I got $75 for my entry fee and I'm ready to go. Don't do that. Don't be me. Don't be that guy. You need to be a person that does your research. Okay. If you're going to go set your race, I would say set your race season. Like my thought and process is I'm going to go to Phoenix. I'm going to try to hit the many races that are happening in Phoenix and the surrounding areas like Vegas, LA, and New Mexico. Because I know a lot of stuff happens in New Mexico with Sean Taylor and his MCC, or I don't remember his exact name of his group down there, but they're doing stuff. So just getting all over down there, getting all over the whole main part of the U.S. and really rocking some all the races that are going down. I don't know if it's going to be for money, but I'm just going to race to race because I want to race people. I want to get down and dirty and get really hardcore in this hobby and just have some fun with it. So with on racing, I found out I needed LEDs. So my first time showing up, I totally didn't know we had LEDs on our quad. So I had to run back, drive all over Phoenix, and find LEDs for my quad, which was really hard. When this drone sport was just being a baby, and you had to go to like three different hobby shops that might have parts here, might have parts there. That's another thing. Before you start racing, make sure you have an investment that you're gonna run with. And what I mean by investment, your quad, whatever setup or gear you feel that you're gonna need duplicates of, be prepared to make a mindset and set that cost aside because you will blow through it in a race, not even a race season. You could blow through all your quads in 2 days of just practicing before you even qualify. So make sure you have enough parts and your ability to stay in the game and stay in it. Because I've seen, this is my third time going to a big race, and I've seen so many times people will bring 5 6 quads and wreck out, and it's not even they may be qualified and now they wrecked out so they don't have any gear for them to actually get into the main race. Okay, so make sure to bring enough gear so you can qualify or do whatever you need to do. So that with me, I brought 10 quads. I ran through like 7 or 8. I had 2 quads left. These 2 quads were not quads that were race quads. These were like freestyle quads I go take to a park and go rip. But I flew them a lot, but they weren't high KV. They were low KV 4Ss, which weren't anywhere near raceable on a track. I got my butt whooped, but hey, at least I tried to the end and blew up all my shit. And that is the one thing you got to know, guys. Your stuff will get destroyed. Don't be a sore loser. Take it with a grain of salt. Rebuild, reload, and rego. Get back on that track and keep going. Okay. Another thing, don't go so high a KV and go 6S. If you buy 1800 milliwatt or 1800 milliamp Lipus batteries, the best ones you can get, you still ain't gonna get 3 minutes on a track, if that. I mean, I've tried lots of high kV motors, and I still haven't found something that can keep pace with the 6S and keeping pace. And what I mean by not either like these high kV ones, I've had them explode batteries, or I've popped low like 35 amp ESCs, which I had to jump up to 45 amp ESCs that were actually holding true with 6S. I couldn't do like most older ones when I was running 6S, popped. If I was running too high KV, popped. And I even tried to manage like the best amperage kV, and still were blowing all ones. So I, with my drag quads, I went with singles, and that's even with and that I still brought those drag quads to the tournament and still brought them out to race, even though they were horrible around turns. Now with these quads, why I chose this thing is I've flown this before. It's quite light on the track. It is very floaty. Even if you're running a 6S battery, it's got a lot of power still. So you got to arc the camera up to fly pretty good. The only flaws are is that it only runs the most tiniest micro camera. Some of those micro cameras actually really suck going against a night course. Sometimes you got to go straight black and white. That's another thing. Don't box yourself up in a wall. Do your research on a track. If it's going to be a night track or a day track, find a good camera that's going to go good with your setup, either or. Don't. I've noticed I try to pick something that does both, does night and day, and when it does night and day, it doesn't work. It's either really, really good at night or really, really good at day. And that's what I'm saying. So make sure you build the quad that you're going to race with specifically towards the track you're going to race with. Okay. Another thing too, when we're talking about what we need to bring on the track, any of you guys want to talk to me in chat or want to talk any information or talk about uh wanting to talk about your race rigs, you guys can come on live. Just hit me up on Facebook. I'll send you guys a little instant message, and then you can come on live with me, and we can talk and chat about all the stuff loving and caring about beautiful, beautiful race quads. Now, a lot of things that I learned too. Okay, if you're new going racing, there's a bunch of big things you need to learn. First off, make sure you know exactly how to run your VTX. Okay? Do not be the douchebag that comes in and goes, "Hi guys," and plugs in and drops everybody that's practicing. Okay? Be the gentleman, do your research, make sure all your shit or all your quad stuff is working outside of the field before you even bring it to the track. Make sure your stuff is working outside the field. Make sure you've already programmed it. Because here's the thing, they will give you guys a set channel you're going to be on, and they might skip you through channels during the race. So that's another big thing. Make sure you know exactly what channels to get onto, how quick and how long it takes you. I will tell you this, in a race, I finally figured out practice makes perfect. So start practicing how long it takes you to get to your VTX, how long it takes you to surf through your VTX and get onto the right channel that they ask you to be on, and then how long it takes you to change your props, because it is all a timed thing, like 15 minutes. Sometimes it's even faster because some pilots crash out, so they go to the next person. And you don't want to be that person not being able to do a heat because you're changing your props, you're changing your VTX, or you're doing something very minimal because you miss a heat just because of that. That's another thing in the name of this game of racing, guys. Get your laps. Get as many laps as you can in. If you don't, you're screwing yourself. You're screwing yourself. Reasoning why is when you get your laps in, they take your best three, as I think they still are doing it right now, because that was last year's. They don't care how many laps you do, as long as you get as long as you get 3 laps in, and you get at least 3 laps in, they will take your best of 3 laps, and then they'll put you in whatever category that you're gonna fall into in the bracket for racing. Okay, so that's another big thing on big tips and tricks. Now, with me racing, I've done this for 2 years and traveled like 4 times to different races. 3 or 4 times to different races. Okay. Now, I've learned lots of things to do with racing and bringing stuff to tracks. Now, I'll say, sometimes you'll build quads that you think are going to be the most perfect thing for a track, and you take this thing to a track and it sucks. It turns wackiest turns. It jitters when you do this. When you try to take off, it stutters or something like that. Well, guys, I'm gonna tell you something. I've tuned a quad. I've tuned a quad for Montana weather. Little chilly, tidbit nipply out, and then I go down to Phoenix. I've been flying cold weather, guys, for like 6 months. I go down to Phoenix. It's nice out. Guess what? These quads fly like shit. They're jittering, they're overheating, they're doing things I've never seen quads do before because they're out in the fucking Arizona heat. Now that's another thing. Prepare when you're going to a tournament. Okay, make sure you go a couple days early. Go out there, go fly that quad and tune it. Because if you don't tune it, when you show up on the track, you're gonna look like the dude that don't know anything about your quads. Okay, so make sure to go before you go to your track, before you even show up. Make sure you go eat some dinner, get out of the hotel, get super excited, go to a park, go rip. If your quad is fine, tunes are great, everything made the airplane ride or the drive there, because you know how all of us human beings are. You either slam stuff in your guys' overhead container and shut the door because you're trying to hurry up because next guy behind is going, look at this guy, he's carrying a bomb, he's got 7 different electronic shit all over his back. What's happening? Yeah, I've been that dude too. It's ridiculous. Like if you ever go to TSA and then you're the only dude taking up the line because you're like, hold on, I got electronic stuff. Quad, quad. Hold on, I'm almost done. Quad. Oh, I have to take off my shoes too. Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, I've been that guy. Took me 20 minutes to go through TSA. People were pissed. They were giving me the snooty look like, what, are you bringing a bomb? What? This guy's sitting next to me here? And then I'm the dude up in the overhead bin trying to jam this stuff in there. Like, oh, hold on a second. 5, 6 quads on a backpack. Yeah, wrong thing to do. So that's another thing. Plan ahead. Make sure that you go out, tune your quad, you get things running good before you go on a track. That's another thing too, guys. If you love racing like I do, I was a person that was like, yo, I'm gonna go help these guys out. They build in a track. This will help me get more time to getting to know the track, where the hard turn's gonna be, what drops I need to take, where I can take the chance and really dump on a turn or dump the trigger on the stick and go all out. All these ideas. Be out there, help everybody out. Because you know what? If you're out there helping them out, they're gonna see like, hey, you know what? I appreciate this dude. You know what? We're gonna have you around. You know what? I'm gonna go back next year. We'll go back this year. That's what I'm getting ready for. I'm gonna go back this year, help those guys out, try to bring some Montana people down there to come fly with me, and then I'm gonna try to hit or make a circuit and try to hit their top 10 list and do a bunch of racing in Phoenix and the whole surrounding areas like Cali and like I was describing to you guys. If you guys want to, come on. Hey, Mike M, if you're still watching, you can come on down and chat with me. I'll send you an invite. Any of you guys want to come down and chat, talk about your quads, you guys are more than welcome to. Another big thing. Okay, set up. Make sure your quads. Like I first second year went down. Said, all right, well I'm gonna set up all my quads and make sure all of them do 6S, but do 4S. Okay, I did that. I took like 30 batteries. Okay, and I was trying to match battery weight to battery like 4S weight to 4S setup to the track. Okay, that works. At times it does, but it's easier to just get a couple quads and not spend as much money on a bunch of different batteries, on a bunch of different setups, and just go with 1 or 2 setups that you know that are good and run with those. Because I am going to take probably like 7 or 8 quads, but I'm still gonna be running 4 quads on tracks that I'm used to, quads that I fly every day for racing. Now I'm still gonna have a backup of a backup, but that's last case scenario, guys. That's another thing. If you don't think you brought enough, you probably didn't bring enough. The reasoning why I say this is I brought 10 quads. I didn't think I was going to fly 10 quads. Didn't think I was going to destroy like 8 or 9 quads, but I did. And instead of me crashing out, I hung it to the end. This last year, I didn't bring enough quads. I didn't bring enough parts. I crashed out second day. After I had a lot, so much night practice. It was phenomenal. Like I was able to fly HD like at 3 o'clock in the morning and fly beautiful gates. And dude, it was lit up. And dude, the adrenaline dump of just hitting those gates was ridiculous. But that's why I'm pretty stoked. I'm excited. I'm getting back on the track. I will say, guys, you need If you need to get your fingers loose, get on one of those games. Velocidrone, I know Kobe's. I think it's Kobe's doing all that stuff for Velocidrone and having all those guys post out races every night. Or not every night, every other night or something like that. They're doing it like every weekly. That's pretty wicked for those guys to do that on Facebook. That is awesome. Always keeping your fingers loose. Another thing too, cost effectiveness. So this is what I'm gonna tell you. Last year I said I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna go all expensive race flight stuff. No matter what, we're gonna get the top of the line stuff and we're gonna run them. I'm gonna have $500-$700 up in the air. We're gonna do it. I'm gonna race what the top pilots are racing. Instead of trying to find something more comfortable, something that I like or something that I can get used to, I was like, let's go top pilots, what they're using. I'll find my own frame, but I'll use their race gear. But I'm gonna make it go on 6S. Screw that 4S crap. Didn't work out. So the big thing with it is by cost effectiveness. I went through, I picked Flight One. Biggest thing was their warranty. Blew me away. Their warranty is one of the best warranties next to Armitan in this drone business, and that's why I always stick with Spaceflight. These guys, they're ill. I've actually met all of those guys in person, shook their hands. I met his wife, Preston Garrison's wife, all awesome people. All those guys will take care of you if anything ever goes wrong with any of your products. That's why I always say stick with those products. I'm going to stick with those products. I'm just down. Like literally, I destroyed a lot of my stuff, and I'm out of the air. So I don't have my like $300-400 to do a bunch of claims and reorder a bunch of stuff. But I'm going to do that before I head down to Phoenix. So here soon, I'm going to claim all my stuff, and then I'll have it sent down to Phoenix. So when I arrive in Phoenix, when I start crashing these quads out and destroying these, I can actually switch them over and hop back onto Flight One. So that's my biggest thing what I'm going to be doing. But I'm going to be still training with these quads. Now we got done talking about little tips and tricks on things that you guys can do for your drones, like putting weight on your quad to help you be more heavy in the air so you can pull yourself around turns. There's a lot of things too. I will tell you guys. If this quad, when it was running on 6S, 2700 kV, quad was way too light. So any blip of the throttle would send it skyrocketing. Would just send it zooming it out of the sky. So it was so hard. It was so squirrely around the track that it could pass anybody. And how light it was, it had the battery pack, it had the life and everything. It was just so squirrely on the track. And anytime that what was nice, it was really weird, that the crush, the test best crush, every time I smacked something, it would put a dent. Like you can see the dents I've had in here from the last races I've had, but wouldn't break the arm. I'm going, what? But motors were exploding. Like, dude, motors were getting pulled off, bells were getting destroyed. And I'm going, what? I'm looking at this quad going, okay, so this quad's super light. It's got super torquey when it's on 6S running 2700 kV. I need to pull off this. I was still having good battery life with it. I just couldn't handle the squirreliness, how fast this thing was going. I literally dropped down to my other quads that were on 6S running 2600 kV, dropped them down and still use a heavier battery. So I could be a little more sluggish around the course, still had passing power, but I still didn't have enough battery life because every time I'd pass somebody, then I'm babying it. Oh God, she's gonna crash. Oh God. So couldn't do it. So now switching up the KVs and motors, switching up stacks. So now this is what I'll tell you guys too: be versatile. If you're not versatile, versatility is what we'll call it. The biggest thing is I've flown before. I stuck with Flight One. They were I right before the race. I did an software update. Don't ever do a software update before a race. If all your shit is flying great, fly it, and then do your software update after the race. Big thing. I did the software update during the race, so I was basically having to retune quads on a track. Worst decision ever. Okay, I could not. I'm having trouble trying to fly it. I've got to try to tune it and then try to get it on the track, and then I've got oh shit, I got to unplug because people are flying now. Just don't do that. Okay, don't do any That's number three in the tip tricks list here. Don't do any software updates to your quad if you're going to a race the next day. Just leave them as they are. If they're flying great, let them fly great. Okay, that's another thing. Okay, after we get that done, we've already talked about making sure you have enough equipment, enough gear, make sure everything is completely set up. Also, being versatile, talking about having two different setups, meaning I like running Flight 1, and now I'm going to be running Beta Flight or Clean Flight or whatever you want to put on these proprietary FCs. This FC that I'm running is a Daytona Mamba. That's what FC I'm running in both these quads. All right. Also being versatile. So that means don't hate on a different brand. Be versatile. Use both of them because you never know what's going to happen. You never know. I've had beta flight stuff completely crap out on me and give me the shakes all of a sudden because I firmware updated it, and I'm switching to my flight one stuff because those run great and I can fly it and I'm ripping butt. Vice versa, I've had them crap out on me for something like a software update, and now my motor's getting too hot or something stupid's happening. Now I've got to go on to these because these have been flying great. So be versatile. Also, when we're talking about versatility, right? I know I'm probably butchering that word right now. Just take all your quads to the track. Yes, I know you're saying what you want, Ricky Foxhound. You want me to bring my 25 quads? No, don't bring all 25 of your quads. Jam pack that airplane full of quads that everybody's in. No, don't do that. Or mail them. Don't do that. Okay, I'm taking. I'm saying taking. 3 quads, 5 quads, 8 quads, maybe. But you're taking 2 7-inch quads, 2 5-inch quads, uh, two 2-inch quads. Reason why I say this, or 3-inch quads. The reason why I say that is sometimes you might struck out and you pull out a 3-inch quad that they say it's acceptable to have on a track, and you can put that 3-inch on a track, and if it's running 6S, why I say I love 6S, if you're running 6S on that bad boy, that quad might be the fastest 3-inch quad on the track at that day, and it has enough power and passing ability to be on it. So you could be destroying people with a 3-inch, having enough power and passing capabilities because you just decided to put a 3-inch on there because all the 5 inches are having a problem with maybe a one gate that might be too small or something like that. That happens where a 3-inch might be passing something just way too quicker on a turn, or that's what I talk about. Being versatile. If you're being versatile and you bring in your stuff, see, I'm bringing these. I'm probably bringing like 9 quads, but they're not all huge 5 inches or huge 6 inches. I'm bringing 2 7-inch quads, but that run 6-inch and 5-inch blades. That's what these are. 7-inch crush. That's what this is called. I'm bringing these 2 drag quads, space ones. Still bringing these, right? I'll be bringing those, and then I'll be bringing a 2 small 3 inches and 2 small 2 inches that run. The 2 inches run 4S batteries, and the 2 3 inches will run 6S batteries. And I'm probably going to bring 2 4-inch drones with me. The 4-inch drones are Rebels that I'll be bringing with me too. Be able to have that Swiss Army knife in your pocket to be okay. Well, this is an indoor track, and it's not made for 5 inches, and people are running 5 inch. Let me bring this 3-inch out and destroy people. Make sure you're able to have everything you need and all your batteries you need. Now, I know that this is crazy, but think about this. When you if you've been in flying and practicing and you're actually ready to take the plate and step up and do this race thing, it's a lot, it's a big investment. It's a lot of things you're going to have to learn on and off the track. A lot of people are going to be dicks. A lot of people are going to be freaking phenomenal, badass people that are like, yo, we need to hang out on the off season one of these times. I go kick it, have a beer, do what we do. You'll meet a lot of those people too. But with doing so, staying focused on the track, and that's another thing too, guys. Track time. You need to have as much track time as you can train for. I'm not, when I move, I'm pulling a Sean Taylor. When I'm in Phoenix, I'm a big boy. I love the heat, so I'm gonna be out in the heat, underneath some shade, with some water spraying at me and 2 fans going on some Lipu batteries, ripping packs, getting my training in for the season to come to open up and really do a lot of racing. Okay, track time. Get as much track time as you can in. Like the literal saying goes, the best guy on the track is the guy that's been there the longest. And I'm talking has clocked in and sat in that chair, got that hot seat, some hot time, and flown those sticks. If you get some more, if you get a ton of stick time, when you're able to get back on that track, you can defeat anybody. It's only going to come up to literally who's got the fastest rig and the best piloting skills that day. So remember that. Track time. Get as much track time as you can. Now, what I mean by that is if you're going to a multi GP event, y'all know they probably posted how the track is a couple months ahead of time. So if you are like me, and I know lots of people do this, I learned it from some guys out in Nevada. Y'all gonna go buy some PVC pipes. You're gonna connect those bitches together, and then you're gonna start practicing that track layout. You're gonna have the. Do I still have mine? Is it still in here? Oh, it is. You guys will know this. You ain't a true racer. This is another big thing. You ain't a true racer until you have one of these. Okay? Every single racer will know you got to have one of these. Because when you're doing your track layouts and you're figuring out the multi GP stuff, you're going to be using that to go. Okay, so it's this year. This is how this many far. This is how this. You'll be using this so much. So we get done talking about track time, parts, the investment, and the ability. Now, after you guys get past the ability and knowing how you're getting your practice in, you're really getting all the stuff in. Okay, is coming down to legitly going to these events. Now, uh, people are not like me. They don't have the ability or the pleasure to actually go move somewhere and try to hit a bunch of these events for a couple months. Okay, that's never going to happen. A lot of people that's very hard for an individual to do. But what you can do is do what I did when I first freaking started. Okay, when I started, I literally asked, I'm gonna do it one time. I went to one event. Okay, did that one event, and I literally got hooked. Could not believe how fun it was, and meeting the top tier group of players, those top 1% guys that are on the track, putting the time in, and really getting stuff done, and that blew me away. I got inspired. I'm gonna be one of those guys. I'm gonna be one of those dudes ripping it up, tearing it up, and focusing. But y'all gotta understand, trying to be that person, there's so much dedication, so much effort, so much mind thought, so much work ethic putting into it that it's quite an experience. And I really want to tell all you guys should do it. You guys should try it. Go out for a season. And what I mean by season, go try a race. Go out, go do 2 or 3 races and really get that grind in. And then pull off and say, hey, I did it. Because it is so much fun to meet all those people. You get to shake their hands, see who gets to freaking win that number one position. And here's a big thing. What's nice is when you get to go to a group of people that fly and say, hey, yo, I got to fly against this dude, or I got to fly against this dude, or this dude was pretty cool to talk to. And that's pretty neat too. Anyways, guys, thanks for chatting us with Tech Talk Tuesday. We're talking about racing, talking about race gear. If any of you guys want to ever talk, come and join My Flight's Better Than Yours on Facebook. Come watch myself on YouTube because we're always doing lives on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So, and that's also, if you guys can do me a good one and share this and hit a like button, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for the comments. Keep it up. Keep it up on My Flight's Better Than Yours. And I'll see you guys next time. All right. See you guys later. Da, 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 da.